guys so much for coming. I didn't realize it would be so big. Jesus. So the way I usually do this panel is sometimes I invite somebody to come up and ask questions, like that are staged so I can answer what I want and that kind of stuff. So like Dan, do you all come up and be like, how are you feeling about Justice League? Or whatever, and then I can give my pat answer. But I honestly prefer this. I hope you guys do too. The way I like to do it is to give you a chance to really ask me anything. And in that way, I get to talk to you transparently. And I try and be as honest as I can. I'll give spoilers to a point. Because, I don't know, that's my job. And also, any question you have about the stuff coming up, the stuff I've done, the craft, the business, opinions on stuff, this is my chance to get to talk to you. A lot of the time I'm kind of behind glass. I work in a cave in my house. I don't see any human beings. That's right, being a writer. And then I go to a con and it's just I get to sign for you, but half the time it's ticketed and I have 2 things I'm allowed to sign and that's it. So what I really look forward to are these kinds of panels where I can talk to you and have a conversation about the things that are on your mind, about our books, about the industry, about my stuff, about where we're headed, all of it. So in case you don't know if you wanted in, I'll give you a quick background. I'm Scott Snyder. I am writing Justice League starting in June. Very excited about that. I wrote Metal. I have the issue 6, by the way, here with me, and I figure, alright, well, let somebody come up and read it. Why not, right? We'll do that too. You can't get on the mic and spoil everything. But issue 6 of Metal is sort of everything I've ever wanted to do in a comic, all smashed into one place. So Plastic Man comes out of his egg, you get the fight between Joker, the Batman who laughs, and Batman, and maybe Joker. And you get, Hawkman coming back, and you get multiversal Batman, and Frank Miller stuff, and Neil Gaiman stuff. And so very, very proud of it. But more than anything, I just wanted to say thank you. You guys have been incredible to us this year, and to me in particular. When we did Metal, I'll tell you, I was really scared. I was Dan came to me and was we really want you to do an event. I want you to take a year away from Batman. Went double ship with Rebirth, and Tom was taking it. I want you to take your time, do All-Star, do your thing, and study events. Go read the stuff you loved as a kid, and come back to me with something special. And I had been pitching Metal, but I had been pitching it all based on how do I do something that's a crossover that will sell lots of books and make DC happy? And Dan was great, and Jim was great. Jim Lee was go back and read the shit that you loved as a kid. Come back to me with the story that you really want to do. And so that, while I was on All-Star, that was my whole job, was to sort of study and do homework. When I came back with Metal, they were just so supportive. But it was terrifying, because I felt God, what if you guys don't pick up the books? When you do an event at DC or Marvel, over a quarter, for a quarter of their publishing schedule, so many of the books are dependent on that. And if you guys hadn't shown up for Metal, I would be responsible for the tanking of the line in multiple ways. So the fact that you showed up and sold out every single book that we did, the rest of my life is a thank you to you, and sincerely. It gave me the courage to be I think I know that the stuff that I love, the way I want to do Justice League, it seems to sync up with the way you love storytelling and comic books as well. So I'm going to try and be brave and just say I'm going there, the same way that we did with Metal, because you guys rewarded us so generously with your support, with your enthusiasm, with your love for these characters and the stories that we've done. So my year this year and post is basically, my job is to say thank you and give you stories that you're going to feel I got more in this book for my $2 or $3.99 than I expected. Always. I mean it sincerely. So if I ever don't deliver, I want to hear from you. I want you to be this is decompressed, there's not enough in this isn't. But I can tell you, and for those of you who were at the publishers panel this morning, literally Justice League, the first page is Commandy, Justice League 1 million, the Monitor, right? The Quintessence, and something coming to blow up the entire multiverse all at once, and that's page 1. So I want you to feel I should have paid $6.99 for this book. That's my goal, is to make you feel that we're giving you more for your hard-earned money than you asked for. So what I'd like to do is really open it up for questions and have you guys, let's have a conversation about what you care about, what you love about the stuff that we're doing, what you hate about the stuff that we're doing, and about anything you want to ask me. So there's a microphone up front, and I will spoil whatever you want. Let's do it. There's no Dan and Jim are not here anymore. I'm not on TV, right? Before I had to be careful. I went out to lunch, I had a drink. Now I can be looser, right? Let's do it. I had this, my favorite panel ever was, I once had a panel with Jeff Lemire when we were starting, and I was like, you know, if anyone wants to bring like a glass of wine, it loosens us up, we talk more or whatever. And we got to the panel, and the whole table was full of bottles of wine, and it was just the two of us. I was like, oh my God. So then I was like, anyone that wants any? And then they were like, you can't do that, they're kids. I was like, So I was almost dragged off. Yes, go ahead.
So my name is Adrian. First of all, I just want to start off by saying that Metal is literally the most awesome comic I've ever read in my entire life.
Oh, thank you.
So basically, my thing is I want to be a comic writer, and I want to write comics just like you and Grant and James Tanyan, you know, all those awesome people.
Sure.
And I was wondering, what does that kind of journey look like from, like, you know, getting out of high school for you at least, and going to college? What classes should I be taking?
Sure.
How should I be getting my stuff out there? And then, like, how did I get noticed by the big guys like DC? And then, what did they give you when you first started? And how do you get to doing something like Metal?
That's a great question. So let me ask you guys this. How many of you out there are aspiring writers or artists in general? That's a lot, right? That's a good portion. So the answer to that is when I was younger, it was really hard because you didn't have the means that you have now to make your own comics. What DC is looking for is if you come and you pitch them a Batman story, they will just steal it from you. Flat out. Because that is their property. And when you come, it's kind of like going, this is talking off the cuff, so forgive me if I'm like, again, this is, you know, left of center or whatever. But it's almost like if you went to like an NBA team and was like, I have the best, and I'm terrible with sports, so forgive me if I'm like, my analogies are awful. I have two boys and they're both like complete jocks. Or my older one is like a total jock, so I have to like learn sports now. Which is hard. But anyway, the idea is that it's almost like if you went to a professional basketball team and you were like, I have the best play for your team, I know it's going to work, but you have to let me be point guard. And they're sort of like, who are you? You know, give us the play, great, bye. And they have the right to do that. So there's no pitching your story to DC or Marvel about their characters. What you're pitching is you, okay? Your portfolio, your work. DC found me because of the work I did in prose. And I had like a rocket ship ride in comics where I got in and I had an easy ride. I've had a totally, like, as though I slept with everybody to the top. Like, I had the easiest ride in the world. Not saying I didn't. I had the easiest ride in the world. But that said, I paid my dues in prose. Where I was in prose, I was broke as a joke, borrowing money from my parents. You know, working at Barnes & Noble, tutoring rich kids, which sucks, never tutor rich kids, because they're like, why don't you do the work for me, I'll pay you extra. And I'm like, why don't you pay me extra not to tell your parents that you just tried to get me to do your work? And then they're like, you're fired. You're like, anyway, true story. But I taught high school, remedial high school, like everything along the way, just because the idea is this. This is what I would tell you, brother. If you want to do this, you have to make it your job. And that means taking shitty jobs that you do not want, or staying up late when everybody else is asleep like an elf making shoes, or getting up early when you don't feel like it. When you are least inspired in life, that's when you have to go write, and you have to draw. And you have to say, this is my real job. I am masquerading. My secret identity is as a barista. My secret identity is I drive an Uber. My real job, my real actual person, who I am, is this thing I do in secret that nobody knows about. And if you can focus on that and say, this is what I do, you'll get through it. And I can tell you tons of stories, hundreds of rejections, like I've been there. You know what I mean? It sucks. You will go to your high school reunion and everyone will have a good job and you will not. And you'll be like, I'm a janitor. I was a janitor at Disney World at the time we had our reunion where everyone was like, I work in Wall Street and I'm a doctor. And I was like, I'm a roller skating custodian and I love it. You know, like, but all of that is because you are devoting and sacrificing for what you love to do. And what I'd say is take whatever class you can. More importantly, do it every day. Train yourself that when you don't feel like it, that's when you're supposed to do it. There's no muse that comes down and says, now you feel inspired. There is 6 o'clock in the morning when you feel like shit, and you do it anyway. That's when it is, you know? And Stephen King was the one that told me that. I'll tell you that. Like, I started to get to know him because he liked one of my short stories when I was writing stories, and he picked it for a Best American Short Stories list. And he was like, he gave me this quote that he said many times. He's like, Scott, talent is as common as table salt. It's the hard work. It's doing it when you don't feel like it, and that's it. And I just totally live by that with him. So that's all I'd say, is just make it your career, your secret career. It is your secret identity that you are. And you have to just do it when you don't feel like it. And there will be lean years and terrible times, but you make your own stuff. Because right now, you can make your own comic. You can find artists at this con, in Artist Alley, who are desperate for a good story. You get in on it with them, you split it 50%. You might have to get a job just to pay them. I had to do all that stuff too, you know. But you make it happen where your resume is you, not your story for Batman or Superman or Wolverine or whatever, whoever Wolverine is. It's always you. This is what I can do. I can finish a product, I can finish a comic, and I can make something good. Here you go, Dan Dio. Could you look at this? Or here you go, Scott. I read that stuff all the time. If you give me your comic that you made, I promise, I read it and I will try and help. But you have to make it. And that sucks, that process.
Thank you so much. I can't wait for number 6, by the way.
Yeah, I'll tell you what, here. I have Metal 6. This is the great cover. It's foil. I love foil. Jim Lee had the gold foil back in the day, and I was like, Jim, my goal at DC when I started was to bring back the foil. And now I'm here. So yeah, come read it. And you can tell them what you think without spoiling it. All these seats.
My name is Brandon. My question is it hard working on a team book after doing solo books for so long, or is it fun to work with a big toolbox?
Yeah, so basically he's asking, team books to me, I've never done one except American Vampire, which we're bringing back, by the way, in 2019. I'm very proud of that. So, total spoiler, I'm doing a book at Black Label with Greg Capullo. I can't wait. Yeah, so this is the book. I was going to do it with Sean Murphy, and what happened was Sean Murphy just exploded with his stuff, and he's one of my best friends. Sean Murphy, I'll tell you a story, and if I'm getting too anecdotal, like down my own kind of old man corn maze of a memory lane, just tell me. Just raise your hands if I start to get all reminiscy and not getting to the point. But I was at a con with Sean 4 years ago when we were doing the Wake, 5 years ago in Boston. And Sean was we were out to dinner and there was all these people there. It was Dan DiDio and Jim Lee. It was a big DC dinner, and he was right across the table, and he's like, I have a question, because we were all going around the room. And it was silent, and he's like, Scott, why are we not real friends? And I was so offended by this. We had worked on 10 issues of The Wake. And I was like, what are you talking about? How could you say that to me? And I was so pissed at him. I was sort of I'm going to show you. I'm going to be your best friend. Now on, I don't care who's your friend. But I was so horrified by this comment. And I called him up days later. I was like, that really upset me. I'm still mad at you, dude. And he was like, well, it's the truth. He's like, we talk all the time about work, but we don't get together and talk creative goals and the stuff we want to do with life. And he was right. And so Sean has become one of my absolute best friends. I talk to him, all the time, and I couldn't be prouder of his success on White Knight, which is incredible, 100%. And so as we got closer to this project, what I realized was, Sean has such a definitive take on Batman that is his, and he has so many things he wants to do that are his own in the creator-owned world, that it was almost crappy of me to make him come back and do my Batman after, and change up his style as best he could. And meanwhile, I had Greg, who we finished Metal, and he was talking about doing Swamp Thing or doing Wonder Woman and all this kind of stuff, which would be great, right? I mean, I would love to do that stuff. But it would mean fitting 6 issues, and this is talking again, off the cuff. This is the DC hook comes and pulls me off. But we had the chance to do that, and I was like, do we do a 6-issue Swamp Thing? He has 6 issues left at DC until he re-ups or whatever. Or do we do Wonder Woman, number 58 to, or do we say, you know what, the one thing that Greg and I have never had a chance to do, I totally forgot your question. The one thing that Greg and I have never had a chance to do is work together not on the grind. Like my history with Greg Capullo is working like this. If somebody said to you, you have a deadline and it is exactly when you're going to be maybe done with that book, and you're going to be on that hamster wheel for 6 years nonstop. Like every day Greg and I would talk like, oh God, we hope we get this done. Oh God, how do we make this like the thing that's the best thing we've ever done on Batman, day in and day out. And this is what I would tell you, is that Greg Capullo, his repertoire of styles, you have not seen anything. That dude does digital painting, has realistic anatomy. His whole life is a masterclass in different forms of cartooning and art. And he's never gotten to do that because it's always been like, how do you do 5 panels and get this story done? And how do we squeeze 20 issues of story into 6 for Metal? So what I want to do on Black Label with him, what Last Night on Earth is going to be, is us doing our DKR of our Batman, where we get to say we have 48 pages to 64 pages an issue. I can write prose, we can do casebook files, and it is a story where Batman, it literally wakes up, Batman wakes up and he's young, but he's in this future. He doesn't know why, and he wakes up and the Joker's living head is in a jar near him, talking to him, being like, we gotta go. And that's the beginning of it. And it is the thing I've been working on in my head for 4 years about what if I was challenged with doing the death or the end of Batman. And Grant said to me, he's like, you gotta have an end for the Batman. This is the end for our Batman. So I'm getting to do that with Greg at Black Label. American Vampire, we're going to bring back 2019. What we're going to do is they're bringing back a lot of stuff from some of the classic series like 100 Bullets and Fables and all of that. So I'm really excited to be a part of that. We're going to do an arc together, me and Raphael, that's almost like consolidated. So you'll get it and it will be like 3 to 4 to 5 issues in one block. Where you're like, here you go, here's Cycle 3 Part 1, here's Cycle 3 Part 2. You didn't ask anything about that. You asked about a team book. Oh my God. Oh my Lord, that was like completely...
That was still awesome.
All right. Now I'll answer your question like yes or no. Writing a team book, writing Justice League is the most fun I've ever had at DC, period. Metal was huge fun, but Justice League is like, Martian Manhunter reads all their minds and he's like, oh my God, what are you thinking? What are you like? And then we have like the Legion of Doom, which is going to be incredible. All the greatest villains are in it. You know, it's out of control. It's different muscles. But what I was trying to say was that I learned how to do a team book from American Vampire, and then on Metal, and so I'm very, very confident about this one. This one is like, Justice League is like if I never wrote another superhero book. This is my superhero book, saying everything. It's about like being, my age and having kids and suddenly seeing you have maybe less life left than you had, and how do you be heroic when you realize how small you are? All of that stuff is Martian Manhunter versus whoever might be leading the Legion of Doom. I won't give it away. And I've even done symbols, so I know this is like getting way too granular, but Justice League, basically, the symbols for Justice and the symbols for Doom are inverses of each other, and I drew them. I did this mathematical drawing. And it's almost like Justice says, our nature is not always good. Our nature can be bad, right? Our nature can be predatory, it's selfish, but we rise above it. When you look at the shape of the Hall of Justice, the lines that are those columns rise above the circumscribed semicircle, right? It says reach higher than what you're supposed to be. The Legion of Doom, the building, looks the opposite. The circle like this sort of completely encompasses the lines, which are then again encompassed by a triangle, like a Darth Vader head. And it says, embrace your nature. We're the real heroes. Be bad. Be who you want to be. Embrace your inner bad guy and say, I have this much time on the earth, I'm going to get mine. And that's it. So those are the two opposing forces in Justice League. Justice and Doom. Martian Manhunter and whoever great big villain that might be leading the Legion of Doom.
Thank you.
Sure. Am I doing it? Is this okay? Like, I feel like I'm totally wandering. All right. How are you doing? It's good, right? He's at a Plastic Man page. Greg literally, he has Plastic Man come out of the egg, and then Plastic Man form. Basically, I'll just tell you. There's this point where they're like, Plastic Man, you have to come out of your egg. You've got to form something to help us. Like, form a shark, or a derrick, or a bulldozer, or just something, please. And he's like, how about all of the above? And he's like, and he forms this crazy ass monster that has like a meat grinder that grinds up the villains, and a giant shark with a sword that starts killing all of them. And Greg, it's like Greg's favorite. He was just like, he kept texting me, being like, thank you for this page. Anyway. Yes?
For Justice League, I just want to ask what were some of your favorite writers that you were drawing influences off of?
Sure.
And if you ever in the future want to write a series that's maybe less Batman and more Bruce Wayne out of the mask?
Well, Justice League is just Batman